If you go to a conference, the last people you should be talking to are your friends, because you could have talked to them mother effers before you got there. If they had value to give you, it would have been before you got to the conference.
The problem people have when they go to events, conferences, whatever it may be, is you're expecting to get $1 million worth of information with a $500 price tag.
But there's a huge chance of being denied and embarrassed. I almost didn't do it. I was paralyzed in fear and didn't take my own advice.
Yep.
And you were like, if you don't go out there right now, I'm gonna do it myself. Welcome to another special edition of Influence to Equity. Today we are sitting down with my COO. He is back for another episode. You all asked for it. You all were wondering, what the heck do we do and how the heck do we network? What is the art of networking? And today we are breaking down tips, tricks, things that you can implement in your everyday life, things that you can implement for yourself, for your children at conferences, events that you're attending, people at work. If you don't know how to network or you haven't figured out how to master networking, this episode is for you.
So let's talk about the power of networking and relationships. I believe there are a lot of people who don't understand the importance of connecting with people, but also creating something that's mutually beneficial, which we talk about a lot. So why don't we share a little bit today about the importance of relationships and then how you can create a mutually beneficial relationship with people.
Most people are selfish. You're thinking about what you want. You're thinking about how a particular relationship can benefit you and your career. You're thinking about how it's a step up for yourself. And everything is me, 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 me. The reality is when you build true, genuine relationships, people will want to help you. You won't even have to ask. People will want to be inspired by your creativity and want to see you move forward and be successful. Unfortunately, most people in our society are thinking about just themselves and how relationships benefit them with zero value to the other person. And a great example of that is recently, making friends at an event I was invited to by a mutual friend. This is someone that I trust. I've built rapport with for 10 years, over 10 years now. So if this person asks or says, hey, I would love your support in this particular, this area. I'm coming to your city. This is an event that I'm throwing. I didn't read the flyer. I didn't do any background research. If you know me, I am deep prospecting on every single place, person, thing before I enter a room.
Yep.
I know that room so well and who could potentially be in the room that it is a natural progression when I walk into the room. As an introvert, one of my greatest skill sets is preparation. Most people are afraid to network when they're in a room because they're unprepared.
Right.
Most people sit in the back of a room or in a corner or by themselves or with their friends and they don't interact with the people in the room. But if you were prepared with a question or two, an icebreaker, some conversation that you can have and know who's in the room, that level of preparation is very helpful.
Yep.
But in this particular case, because it was someone I trusted and had built rapport with for so long, that I did not do any research. And ignorance was bliss. Because I was able to build a relationship with someone. We have been, over the course of the last few months, built a relationship with someone from a true place of just friendship.
Yep.
Not I want, not I need, not I can add value to you, which is actually quite aggravating to me. Oh, I can do this thing for you. But I didn't ask you if that's what I didn't ask you for that.
Yep.
Oh, Sarah, I can do this for you. I want to be a member on your team. I want to intern for you. For what? What problem are you solving?
Yep.
I may very well need an intern. Or maybe I don't even know that I need an intern. Maybe I don't even know that I need an assistant. But if you can find a way to make yourself value as to how you can add value to my life or to my business, that's a different conversation.
And let's talk about this because you just made a couple of points. You made several points in terms of building relationships. Let's talk a little bit about the how, because one of the things that you and I do is we do research.
Yeah.
And we try to understand how other people can benefit from maybe what we have to offer. This in the case of if it's something to sell or it's just building that relationship. So there's a couple of different ways to go about that. How would you explain to someone if you're going into a room, you need to do this?
I'm going to go back to something you just said, if that's okay. Something to sell. Or what was the second part? You said something to sell.
Or you're just doing research on somebody to build a relationship.
Sometimes it's nothing.
Because sometimes what you're selling is not what they need anyway. So,
but everyone is tired of being sold to.
Yep.
Sometimes it takes years to build rapport. The other person doesn't even know how to help you or what to help you with or how to fill the gap or what networks you need or what you need from their network. But you haven't talked to them long enough. You haven't built rapport long enough. Most people don't even follow up. Rapport takes years. I have relationships that took me 4 years of just building rapport and building friendship that then all of a sudden, like, it happened so fast. I was able to escalate my career because of those conversations and those relationships that were built for years that did not benefit me at all for years.
Yep. And the thing about it is, don't sell things to people that they don't need.
Correct.
It's going to be a headache for you and them.
Yeah.
I was listening to something here recently because I listen to a lot of sales stuff. And I was listening to something here recently. And the thing was, if 100% of people buy what you have to offer, then you're doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. Because one, you're probably not priced correctly. But two, you're likely overselling it. And so I need a certain amount of people to tell me no. Because if my prices are too low, then I need to probably elevate my price. But in addition to that, what you have to offer should not, will not be for everybody. So if you're in a position where you're actually selling something, look for the people who need what you have to offer. And what I mean when I say that is there's going to be a lot of products that are available to people. And if I'm selling some orange swimming trunks in the middle of winter, probably won't be a good time to be selling that, or probably wouldn't be a good idea for me to be selling you orange swim trunks in the middle of winter. Because one, you probably don't need swim trunks in the middle of winter, but you also probably don't need swim trunks. You need a swimsuit. So I'm selling to the wrong person. So know your audience and know what they're looking for. Now, if you were to make a Facebook post to say, or a LinkedIn post or an Instagram post and say, I need orange swim trunks in the middle of winter, then therein lies the opportunity. Because guess what? Now I have orange swim trunks to sell you in the middle of winter. So, yeah.
You asked me, how do we network? And you and I have had this discussion. Let's talk about InvestFest and some of the backlash that was received for InvestFest, where people felt like they didn't get value out of it. Mm-hmm. Now, I did not attend InvestFest, so I can't speak to the value on any of the stages. I can't speak to any of the speakers. I can't speak to any of that.
Right.
But there's a particular video that I saw that said, can someone please teach a course, or can someone please make a video about how to network?
Yep.
One of the reasons why people did not feel, again, this is one of whatever odd reasons, so this isn't, apparently I like controversy, so I'm going to just keep adding to it. But one of the top conversations that was being had about InvestFest was how people didn't find value out of it. And they wanted more out of InvestFest. The point of going to conferences isn't to get value necessarily from the speakers.
Yep.
The point of going to a conference, hear me and hear me well. The point of going to a conference, to go into an InvestFest, is to network with the people in the room.
Yep. Because those are all the people doing the same things that you're doing. They're there for the same reasons you're there.
Correct.
And the problem people have when they go to events like InvestFest or events, conferences, whatever it may be, is you're expecting to get $1 million worth of information with a $500 price tag. And there's also work that's required of you anyway.
Correct.
So you're asking if somebody can create a course for networking. The problem with that is even if they do, most people won't finish it. Most people won't finish the course for, what is it, the number 80% of people
80% of people do
won't
not
finish
finish
the
the
course.
courses that they
So
purchase.
let's take that off the table.
Right.
Let's say you're at a conference and you're trying to figure out how to network with people. One, there's probably more research for you to do. And also you need to find people who are like-minded. If I know you are the kind of person who likes to do podcasts, I need to also be in a place where these other people are also doing podcasts.
Right.
Let's say, for instance, what's Podcast Summit, for example. I'm looking for people who live in Los Angeles specifically.
Right.
I'm looking for people who are looking to grow their brands. I'm looking for people who want to connect with studios. And once I find those people, it's probably going to require me to go around and ask people questions. It's going to require me to say, okay, here's what I do. What do you do? And those are some uncomfortable conversations to have. But again, you can't get $1 million worth of information from a $500 price tag. And a lot of people don't want to be sold. So my psychology, or my thought process, is taking the psychology of allowing people to sell themselves. And the reality is, if we're in a room together and we're having a conversation, let me understand why this is important to you. Let me understand why you want this orange pillow, this green couch, so I can see if it's something that actually does work for you, because maybe it doesn't. And so you go to these events and you're expecting to get all of this information, but people don't pay for information. People pay for implementation. And so you can have in InvestFest all these vendors, and the problem, you're like, oh, I'm just being sold all the time. Yes, that's why they're there. They're there because if you need to learn how to write your articles of incorporation, there might be a business attorney there. If you need to understand how to set up your LLC, there might be a business attorney there. There might be people who can sell you additional things, but that's the whole point of a lot of these conferences, a lot of these events, is I'm going to give you the information, but those people out there, they can help you implement. Right. And so you have to incorporate that when you go into these events. But aside from that, let's say you go to an event and you don't want to spend any money. Guess what you need to do? Connect with people. I'm going to find a Sarah. I'm going to find a Tilmon who potentially might be interested in the same thing that I'm interested in. But we're afraid to talk to people. We're afraid to hear no. We're afraid. So what we have to do is be willing to detach from the outcome, but know what you have to offer and know the potential value that you can bring. Because just because you say it's valuable doesn't mean it's valuable to me, because you have to know what I want. You have to know what makes me move. You have to know what I'm interested in. And you have to know this is the direction that Tilmon is going. He's building his brand. He's doing X, Y, Z. Well, I actually have this as part of my offer. Let me see if this is something that he might be opposed to. And then you have a conversation. If it doesn't work for me, you go find a Sarah. If it doesn't work for Sarah, you go find a Michael. If it doesn't work for Michael, you go find a Tiger. It doesn't matter who you find. You just have to be open to having those conversations. And then if you're opposed to having those conversations, guess what? You might have to pay one of those vendors who are trying to sell you something.
Can I say something controversial?
Absolutely.
If you go to a conference, doesn't matter what it is. We'll use InvestFest for conversation's sake. If you go to a conference and you talk to nobody, you sit in a corner, you only sit with your friends,
Wasted money.
you are the problem.
Yeah.
You're the problem. If you spend $500 for a ticket and the only people you talk to were your thoughts, your phone, and your friends, you are the problem. The wealth of knowledge that is built at a conference is from the people in the room. It's not necessarily from the speakers, because you're not going to have direct access to those people.
Right.
Also, they can't speak to your direct issues and your problems because you're not having a one-on-one conversation. So they can't even answer whatever question you think you're there for. They don't know you like that.
Right.
They don't know you. They don't know what problems you're having in your business. They don't know that you don't know how to incorporate your business. They don't know that you don't know how to scale. They don't know that you don't know how to do your business taxes. They don't know that you're $500,000 in debt and you don't know what to do and you're drowning. They cannot solve the problems for questions that they are unaware of. So that is one, unrealistic. Number two, I saw some comments that said we're like we're out motivated out, like we're done being motivated and we're done being inspired, or I'm inspired out. then maybe that wasn't the conference for you, number one.
Yep.
Or two, here are some tips. Because I'd be bashing people and then not giving, let me give you some tips, like to lighten the blow a little bit. If you go to a conference, the last people you should be talking to are your friends. Because you could have talked to them mother effers before you got there. If they had value to give you, it would have been before you got to the conference. If you go to a conference with 30,000 people, and I saw the videos, people just lined up on a wall, looking at their phones, scrolling. People are so busy trying to network up that you're not networking laterally. If I need a copywriter and I don't know how, I need to be a part of wherever the copywriters are, I need to go find those people. If I need a trademark attorney, I need to go find those people. If I need an accountant, find those people. The value in conferences is the people that you network with.
Yeah.
So if you can't figure out how to network, talk to everyone. Have 2 or 3 questions that you've already prepped before you got there. Have 2 or 3 icebreakers. Find someone that you can kind of have synergy with. They have 9,000 breakout rooms. Pick one of the effing breakout rooms that you are interested in that maybe has 30 people in it or 50 people, and talk to those people. Everyone is so busy talking to themselves or to their phones that they're not networking with the people that matter to them or to their industry. If you are a founder and you need help, go find other founders. Right. Go find people who are in your same industry that are maybe from a different city. Figure out how to be valuable to one another. If I'm, again, for conversation's sake, I'm a copywriter, I should have business cards. The amount of people that don't have business cards, what are we doing? Yep. No, I'm not going to follow you on IG. Sure, it's the new age business card, but no, you need to have a business card. Yep.
So let me say this really quick. I'm going to share something. Actually, I'm going to share one specific thing, but I'm going to share several things that's going to help hopefully make networking easier for people. It's the simplest thing, though, because we just need to find common ground. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it starts with a compliment, opening the conversation.
Oh my gosh, I love your dress.
Sarah, that dress looks amazing on you. Mm-hmm. That dress looks amazing on you.
Love that suit,
my brother, you killing it in that suit. Yo, where'd you get those shoes from? Those are dope. Yep. And that opens up a space for you to maybe talk. Mm-hmm. But the real key to networking is asking the right questions. Correct. Most of us want to go in with, oh, so what do you do?
What do you do?
You know how many times people have been asked, what do you do? People get asked, what do you do everywhere they go? So one of the things that you have to learn is what's called a pattern interrupt. So you ask a question that people might be surprised by. You ask a question that's far different than what most people are going to ask. And I'm going to give you one simple question that you can ask to anybody. Let's say, for instance, you're at a conference and I'm thinking, okay, now I'm in this space where I'm trying to figure out how to network. What do I go say to these people? Hey, excuse me, what do you find to be the most beneficial so far? What do you find to be the most beneficial so far? Mm-hmm. How do you think we can walk away from this with the most value? It's what questions or how questions. And even starting with that is going to make your life so much better. Don't ask somebody, what do you do? You can ask another layer of what do you do by asking a question like, hey, what do you plan to do with the information that we've learned thus far? That's a different layer of what do you do? Because now, if I know what you plan to do with the information, guess what I also get? What you actually do.
Can I add a spicy one?
Yeah.
What's been your least favorite part of the day?
Oh, don't do that to me.
Because it throws people for a loop.
That's what it is. But that's what it is. Because one of the questions that I ask a lot, and you know this, is, so what's the worst day for you to meet? Like, wait a minute. What do you mean by the worst day? Yeah. Because now I'm getting that out of the way. I know you can't meet on Mondays because Mondays are your planning days. And then Friday doesn't work for you. So what do? You start to offer me the best day for you to meet. Right. It's taking the human psychology of wanting to say no and leading with no and flipping it on its head,
Yeah.
and then sitting with somebody and suggesting, based on the questions that's being asked, things that actually work for you.
Yeah.
So simple.
I have a friend of mine. Shout out to Keisha Mabry. Keisha did this thing a few years ago where every single day she had to meet someone new. She had to talk to someone new every day for 100 days.
Mm-hmm.
And she called it Hey Friend. Every day for 100 days. And what I love about the concept, and it's something that I've continued to implement, which helped me come out of my shell, especially you all. I know I'm really hard on you guys. I am an introvert. I do not like talking to people. I barely even like people, but my job and what we do as founders, as creators, as entrepreneurs, we are in the business of people. So we cannot take away the element of humans, of numbers. These aren't just numbers, they are human beings.
Right.
Remove the fact that you need something from this person and live in the moment, understanding that this is a human being across from me.
Yep.
And what she did with Hey Friend and those 100 days of Hey Friend that I've chosen to implement is, let's say I go to a conference. And actually, we did this with my son, where we gave him a challenge. And the challenge was, every day when you go to school, you have to talk to a new person. You got to get one person's name every day. This is when he was going to a new school. I'm like, I don't know how to get him to break out of his shell. He's shy. How do I get him out of a shell? And I remember you saying to me, he needs to meet one person.
Yep.
Every day, and one person's name he's got to remember that day. And immediately he came back and he started giving me a new name every single day. So when I go to a conference, the way that I've implemented that into my life is I make sure that if there's 30,000 people, if I didn't walk away talking to 100 people, and if I didn't get at least 50 contacts, then I have failed.
Yep.
I've wasted $500. I've wasted $300 going to a conference with 300 people in the room. And if the only person I talked to was my manager, Jocelyn, or to you, or to people on my team, what have I done?
Yeah.
That was a waste. So my challenge to you and to anyone listening is, if you go to a conference, you go to an event, if there's 300 people, you pick a number. Maybe it's 20 people that you have to talk to that you don't know, that you've never met before, that are either in a parallel industry, or maybe it's just whatever. Pick 20 people that you have to meet and make sure you get at least 5 contacts. And Instagram doesn't count. Social media doesn't count. You need an email address, a phone number. A LinkedIn is a little bit better than social media just because it's a little more serious. But you need to get at least several pieces of content. So that is the challenge to you. Go to a conference, pick a number of people that you have to meet and a number of contacts that you have to also meet. And then, and this is the and then, you have to actually schedule and meet with these people. That is my challenge to you.
Oh, see, I don't know about you, but I don't have time or money to waste. So my thought process on anything with conferences, events, hikes, I gotta at least walk away with one contact, one person.
With something.
Like, it could be 6 of us out there. One of y'all gonna come on my podcast. I'm gonna figure it out, because I'm also in spaces where I feel like people are attempting to advance their lives, because that's the reason that I'm there. And so I'm gonna continue to put myself in spaces where people are also doing that, which oftentimes are uncomfortable spaces. I'm not sharing this information. We're not sharing this information because it sounds good. We have been in rooms where it's super uncomfortable. And I'm like, well, shoot, I'm going to just go ask.
Yep.
Because I have chosen to curate a life for myself where I said, I'm just going to detach from the outcome and see what happens.
Right.
If you're unwilling to see what happens, you will never get the answer you want from a question that you don't ask. So if I have gone into a room and I haven't spoken to somebody, I haven't asked a question, guess what? Even if I do ask the question and I hear no, I walk away the same way that I came in. But at least I know the answer is no. And for a lot of us, it could be as simply as, asking the girl out that you want to ask out. You may just have to ask a question because you know she likes you or she doesn't based on her saying yes, no, not right now, whatever it may be. But you have to be willing to put yourself out there in order to get the information. I think a lot of people are just so afraid of the humiliation. They're so afraid of being embarrassed that you're not going to ask a question. So you have to continue to put yourself in uncomfortable situations and make yourself comfortable in those situations. Because the more reps you get, you'll understand why people are saying no.
Yeah.
The more times that you put yourself in different situations to figure out what's going on this side of the world, you're learning. It's only a mistake if you don't learn something from it. And a lot of people are so afraid to make mistakes that you will cripple yourself and you will make yourself hesitate. You will make yourself pause when you could have gotten exactly what you were hoping for just by asking the question.
As you were talking, it made me think of this series that I started back in June where I was just going to take over red carpets. And I was willing to look foolish, look stupid, potentially be kicked out, maybe taken off of PR lists. And even getting to the carpets as talent is all entirely built on relationships. That's all relationships. There is hard work obviously involved, but it's all entirely relationships. Then I do these red carpet takeovers. I'm there as talent. And then, I ask my questions and everyone has been so receptive at every event and every carpet I've been on. But there's a huge chance of being denied and embarrassed.
Yeah. So what happened the first time?
I almost didn't do it. I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I was paralyzed in fear and didn't take my own advice.
Yep.
And you were like, if you don't go out there right now, I'm going to do it myself. And I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. And I'm talking to myself like, girl, you ain't no punk. You got this. You are her. You are that B word. Like, you got this.
Don't be a glitch.
Don't be a glitch. As they said in Transformers 1. Don't be a glitch. And I was like, this is my moment and this is my opportunity.
Yep.
And on the first try, the video goes viral.
Which is crazy, right? Because there was a chance you didn't do that.
Yeah, I almost didn't.
So it seems like that might be working for you.
It is working. And the interesting part is I think even if it hadn't worked like that, I would have kept doing it anyway. And I have. And there have been large carpets, there have been world premieres, there have been just regular premieres, there have been some screenings, just risk, like taking a risk and putting myself out there. Bear in mind, when I'm out there, I don't know anyone.
Yeah.
I don't know these actors and actresses from a can of paint. I don't know the other reporters. I don't know the other hosts. I don't even know everyone from the PR companies. I don't know who's on the red carpets. I don't know anything. So the amount of fear that I felt and sometimes still feel was on 100, especially that first one.
Yep.
And I was prepared and I still had paralyzing fear. But then it went viral. And then the next opportunity happened. And then the next opportunity. And I realized, one, nobody's kicking me off. Praise God. But also the PR companies are enjoying what I'm doing. And they're enjoying the content. And it's bringing light to the projects that they're working on. And then I go from taking over carpets to now being invited to host the carpets. And even when I hosted the CFB event, what's crazy is I had kind of a list. So I prepared based on the list that I had.
Yep.
There were at least 20 other people that I was not prepared for and did not know were going to be on that carpet. But because I was prepared and because I felt confident now in my own skill sets, didn't matter who it was. Again, I don't know these people. I don't know any of these people.
Yep.
I didn't even meet the woman who invited me to do the CFB event anyway.
What I find is lack of confidence often comes from lack of preparation or lack of information.
Agree.
So if I'm not confident in what I'm doing, and this is even speaking on myself personally, I just have not prepared, or I don't feel that I have enough information to prepare. So what I've done is I'm not the kind of person who over prepares. There's certain things that I do. Like I map out, okay, these are two or three good questions I can ask this person. These are two or three cool facts that maybe I can bring up in conversation.
Yeah.
And here's how we're going to set an agenda for the conversation. And you can do this in your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to call the teacher. So here's two things that I know that my son or daughter have been working on. Here are two questions that I can ask. Here's two cool things that she did. Hey, Karen, I saw that you actually had all the first graders and you took them on the field trip here recently. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Okay, now that's your rapport. You've now built rapport with Karen. Okay, Karen, so based on our previous conversation, it sounds like there might have been an issue with my son. Can you help me understand exactly what happened? And based on what she shares, now I can ask an additional question because I built rapport and I set an agenda in the beginning. So, hey, so essentially what I'm hearing from you is that I needed to have a conversation with you about my son because he may have done XYZ. And I'm planning for this conversation for us to talk about that. But would there be anything else that you'd be hoping to accomplish with today's conversation? So now I've set an agenda for the conversation. I've given Karen a compliment on something that I know she's done. And also now I'm willing to address the issue because I built rapport with Karen. Mm-hmm. So she's willing to share more with me about what's actually going on. And then there's all these layers that you will learn in communication. There's all these layers that you will learn in different areas of your life. But it's taking this and applying this in other areas. This works in sales conversations. It works in business conversations. It works on podcasts because you're learning the people. Mm-hmm. You're doing your research. You're understanding what's happening behind the scenes and you're uncovering more and more. You get better with your questions and you start with the what's and the hows and all of these so you can learn more about the person that's sitting across from you so you can get rid of that fear so you can actually do the preparation to build confidence with the information that you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's networking is so fascinating because I didn't realize that I was good at it or that I was decent at it. I just naturally was able to build relationships by having conversations. And I think another trick to use when you're at conferences or you're whatever, people like to talk about themselves. Ask them questions about them.
How many times have we been in situations and you'll see me talking to somebody and following the conversation, they're like, oh, wait, I didn't ask you anything about you. I didn't ask you any questions. Like, what how about you? But we talked for an hour now because I'm just genuinely curious.
My favorite is when people go, oh my God, this was an incredible conversation.
Yeah.
This was one of the most insightful conversations. I didn't talk at all.
I asked you 7 questions.
Correct.
That was it.
It is literally one of the easiest tricks to apply is to just ask people about themselves, find a singular point of connection. And then I think also something to keep in mind when networking is we're so busy trying to get to our ask that we don't build rapport.
Active listening.
Let people's guard come down.
Yep. So let's do a exercise here really quick.
Sure.
Because I want people to like see it in real time.
Okay.
So I want you, whatever question I give you, answer it in less than 5 words if you can.
Okay.
So, Sarah, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
Why blue? I'm curious.
Just is.
So when you say just is, what do you mean by that?
It's been my favorite since I was a kid.
Huh. Interesting. So when you decided that blue was your favorite color, was there an event or something that happened that made you realize blue was your favorite color?
I was at a carnival and there was this beautiful balloon and it was shiny and sparkly. And then it's been my favorite ever since.
So the first thing I asked you was answered in less than 5 words. Mm-hmm. Guess what you just did? It's
been more than that.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't answer it in 5 words.
Exactly. But the reality, though, is all I'm doing here in real time is just taking what you're saying, listening to what you're saying, and asking a deeper question. Mm-hmm. And most people have trouble with that because either you're not engaged in listening or You just don't know how to phrase your question, how to frame your question. But all I'm doing is saying, "Oh, it seems like," or I'm showing that I'm listening to you by asking the what or the how questions. And if you give yourself a lot of, so I do a lot of fun activities. I will make sure to ask people sometimes 3 questions before I insert anything. One, there's a couple of reasons for that. One being that you don't want to overload people with questions. But 2, sometimes people have more to say. You just haven't asked the right questions or a line of questions in order to get that information.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, I couldn't agree more.
So as we close this conversation, how do you feel people can find the most benefit from the conversation that we've had today?
My hope out of this conversation, that would be, for someone listening, that would be the most beneficial, is to challenge yourself. Find a number, talk to people that you don't know. Then make sure that you're grabbing contacts. Make sure that you're asking the right questions. Build rapport. Let people's guard come down before you have an ask. Also, read the room. Figure out if now is even a good time to ask for anything, or if this should be a follow-up meeting or a follow-up conversation. I think it's active listening is incredibly important, and making sure that you have actionable tips for yourself before you go to a conference or before you go to an event are probably the tips that I would most want people to receive, because we're so busy wanting to receive ourselves that we forget that you have to give in order to receive.
And I'll just add one more thing to that. When you do events, when you go in different spaces, when potentially, and this is another layer of it, download for your day. Be honest with yourself about how you did. I don't care if it's a podcast conversation, it's an event that I went to, a conference that I've gone to, or it's just a regular day. I want to know how I did. So one question that I ask myself, so what I'm writing out is, yesterday I did this, and then I ask myself what was supposed to happen. And then I say, today I will. So evaluate yourself. Do a self-evaluation when you're going to these events, and maybe even incorporate doing a self-evaluation of your days and your weeks, so you can make sure you continue to get better and improve with everything that you're doing.
You have to be active to get the value that you want out of the thing that you're going to.
You pay for it.
You're paying to go to an event. You're paying to attend an event, and you have no plans for what you want out of it and how you're going to get what you want out of it.
Right.
Please plan what it is that you want to get out of the event. Stop going to events willy-nilly. Stop going to conferences willy-nilly and then being upset when you don't get what you want for the work that you did not do.